What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Leo. This is Tried as an Adult podcast. So as you can see on the thumbnail, I'm going to talk about when I got arrested, the night I got arrested. It was a crazy experience. You know, I was a kid that was running and gunning. By that time, I was 16 years old. I had already, been in the streets probably 3 years with my older brother. Shout out to my brother Ivan, Dirty. We were typical growing up in the hood, man. Broken home, you know what I'm saying? Not a lot of people came and check up on us as far as adults go. So, we're getting by how anybody gets by at that age. My brother's selling dope. We're committing all kinds of acts of violence. I'm doing drugs at the age of 12, 13 years old. I was already doing cocaine, smoking foils in the bathroom. It was a every night occurrence where I lived. But that's not to say that I didn't have a good childhood, up until that point, because I believe my mom and my dad gave us every opportunity and gave us everything that they could to make sure that we had a good life. It was just the choices that we made. Once those streets get a hook in you, it's hard to get them out. And that's what happened to me. And my brothers, my older brothers, they tried everything they could to keep me out of that lifestyle. I mean, damn near beat me, just to for me to get the point. Like, they didn't want me around that shit. But, it's like they say, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink it. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, at this time, that night, that October 9th, 2003, it's been almost 20 years. So it's kind of, it's kind of foggy, the way it exactly went down. But so October 9th, 2003, there was a party going on at the trailer, just like almost every other night. Two of my homies came to pick me up. My homeboy Ray, shout out to my homeboy Ray. He's my crimey. For people that don't know that terminology, crimey is your crime partner, the person you committed the crime with, your co-defendant. And our other crimey, Oscar, shout out to him also. So they came to scoop me up, and at the time, you know what I'm saying, I was kind of laying low. I was kind of trying to change my life around a little bit. But the streets come calling, they come a knocking, and I came to answering. And so anyways, they came to scoop me up. We just got a brand new shotgun. They wanted to go test it out in the shooting range where we live, where we're from, past a dam that's there. There's a shooting range. So, hey, let's go try this out. It's maybe 10 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. So we go out there, and lo and behold, there's a person hitchhiking. Well, this person that's hitchhiking, go back a little bit of time, maybe 6 months. We were at a taco truck, me and my crime partner, Ray. This guy, he's maybe, at the time, he's probably 28, somewhere around there. He's all older than us. White dude. Well, he started saying all kinds of racial shit at us, right? And we ain't even, what I'm saying? Like, I got friends that are all different type of colors, races, colors, sizes. It doesn't matter to me, man. I fuck with whoever I want to fuck with, it plain and simple. For some reason, this dude started talking shit. And so, we told him that I had warrants at the time. And we told him, like, hey, man, we're going to catch you slipping one of these days, And during that time, my mentality, by that time, I was already brainwashed into believing, I got to be the biggest, the baddest, the hardest. That's the only way that people are going to respect me. People are going to love me, or whatever the case may be. That's how I felt at the time. So, I was like, man, I'm going to get you. And I think he thought that we were playing. So let's go back to that night. Just destiny, man. It was that person, that guy that had talked shit to us previously during maybe 6 months prior to that, was that same dude. And we, I told my homie Ray, I'm driving. I told my homie Ray, hey, that's him. My homie's like, nah, that ain't him. I said, yeah. I stopped the car. My homie jumps out the car. Because the guy starts running up to the car because he's hitchhiking. He thinks we're gonna give him a ride. He runs up to the car, and my homie gets out, pumps. It's a 12 gauge. Comes out, pumps the gun. Get on your knees. Dude starts crying immediately. He starts crying. Gets on his knees, telling us not to kill him. And me being the person that I was at the time, I was just full of rage, full of anger. It's just a lot of shit that was going on in my life. And so I ran up to him. I started giving him the business. So we started jumping him, and we ended up cracking his head open with the shotgun. Instead of shooting him, we beat him over the head with it maybe 3-4 times until we split him open, And like I said, man, this is not to glorify my actions, because I know they were wrong, and I paid for them. I think I paid my debt to society for what I'd done. And so we ended up leaving him there. And this, mind you, this was in the middle of the highway where this was happening. So we ended up leaving him there. As soon as we were leaving, there was another car coming. So they ended up seeing him in the middle of the road bleeding while we were speeding off, trying to shoot at a semi. We started dumping at a semi trailer. I don't ask me why. I don't know. It was just one of those nights where it was just, we were just loose cannons. And so we ended up going back into town, speeding into town. And right before you get to the house that I was staying at, the trailer that I was staying at, there's this hill. There's a hill that goes down. And I bullshit you not. I swear to God, because I was telling my homie Oscar, because it was his car, his mom's car. And I was telling my homie Oscar, like, hey, man, we got to ditch the car. And he's like, nah, man, this is my mom's car. I bullshit you not. We were on top of that hill. That motherfucker turned off. It just turned off. The engine turned off. Everything turned off. And I was like, let's ditch it right here. But nah, we used the hill to coast all the way to the trailer. Once we got there, we got out. There was a party going on, like I said. We started, talking, because one thing that I didn't mention was that this whole thing was being recorded. We recorded the whole thing. Once again, ask me why, I don't know. We were just, I thought I was just, invisible. Like I wanted to show people, because that's what it is, man. It's a fucking image that I was really willing to risk my life, to ruin my life over an image that today doesn't mean anything. That image not respected, like not by real men, real women of this world, of this society. But anyways, so we coasted all the way down there. We got out. We started showing the tape to my brother. My brother Ivan, he came up to me, man. He started grabbing me like, what the fuck are you doing? What is wrong with you, man? Like, what are you doing? And I want to bullshit you not. Maybe 5 minutes later, 6 minutes later, we look outside. There was a little SWAT team out there. All kinds of sirens, all kinds of cars. We had a bunch of pit bulls surrounding the house. It was a trap house. So we had a bunch of pit bulls surrounding the house so nobody would break in. They started going crazy. My brother started going crazy, telling me. My brother grabbed me, and that's what I remember him always telling me, I fucking told you, Daniel. I told you. And those words always stayed with me, man. They always stayed with me, because I seen his eyes, like he knew what was coming for me. He knew that this wasn't no game. So we ended up getting arrested that night. They ended up saying that it was they mistook Oscar for a black dude. They thought he was a black dude. So they were looking for 2 Hispanics and a black dude. Well, we were in the trailer like, man, ain't none of us coming out. Like, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have to come in here and get us. But, Oscar being the man that he is, man, even at that age, at 16 years old, because one thing about Oscar, I don't even want to talk about his life, man, without his consent, but he was a really good dude in the sports. He was in high school. He was about to graduate. And just that night, it just cost him a lot, man. But it cost all of us a lot. So he took it upon himself to go out there and say, you know what, I was one of the guys that was there, but the other 2 guys took off. The cops weren't having it. They're like, nah. So me and my homie Ray were like, hey, man, we can't let him go by himself. Like if he goes, we all go. So fuck it. I said goodbye to my brother, man. I was crying, because I knew it was like, man, the reality hadn't set in yet. So I'm like, telling my brother goodbye. We turned ourselves in. Well, they leave us in the back of the cop car for a good 5 hours with the heat full blast, just to do it on purpose. So we stay there, and at the time, we're joking and we're laughing. We're thinking like, man, we're gonna get 3 months out this shit. You know what I'm saying? And our reputation is gonna get some stock. And the craziest shit goes through your head, man, when you're living that type of life. And so we're sitting there in the back of the cop car, and then they finally take us to juvie, because we went to juvie maybe for like 5 hours, right? And so they took us to a juvenile. From there, we went to another juvenile for a few more hours. That's when we got the call. That's when we got the call that our lawyers were like, hey, you're going to jail. We all got the call around the same time. They came and got us out of our cells in the juvenile. And they came and grabbed us, and they said, hey, you guys got a phone call from your lawyer. What the fuck? So we all get it. We all go up there, get the phone. And sure enough, he's like, hey, you guys are being tried as adults. You guys are going to go to jail tomorrow. And we're thinking, man, I'm already in jail, man. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, no, you guys are going to go to jail. Like, nah, there's no way they can do that to us, man. Like, what you mean? I'm a kid, you see? And that's when we're like, nah, now you're going to treat me like a kid, but we want to run the streets like men, you see? That's where the mentality is fucking twisted. But anyways, we get the call. And like, nah, man, we can't go to jail, man. Like, we're kids, they ain't gonna send us to jail, man. Sure enough, we so the following day, they're gonna take you guys to court to give you a hearing to decline us, which means to decline us as adults from going from a juvenile. They no longer view us as juveniles. They're gonna view us as adults. They're gonna treat us like adults. We're going to adult jail. We're going to do adult time. And even then, we're on the way to the courthouse the following day. You know, we're just joking. We're joking like nothing, man. And that's when we got to the courthouse. That's when the guy that was escorting us, he turns around and tells us, I don't know what you guys are laughing about. You guys got some serious charges. Because up until then, we didn't know what our charges were. And sure, he starts reading them off. You're talking about robbery, assault, drive-by, possession of a firearm, intimidating a public servant. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were coming at us with 33, 35 years at first. You know, to a kid, you know what that... Man. Anyways, so we go to the hearing. And the way that we knew we were adults. Check it out. We knew we were adults by the fact that we came into the courthouse. We were handcuffed in the front, because as juveniles you get handcuffed in the front. Once we got inside the courthouse, right away they said, give us your cuffs, give us your hands. They uncuffed us, turned around, and cuffed us in the back. That's when we knew the shit was real. That's when our faces turned white. That's when we're like, what the fuck did we do? Mom, please come save us, you know. And so yeah, man, it was an intense moment. And then so we ended up going from there. We went straight to the county jail. And the first thing, because I knew my brother got locked up that night too. My brother, all of us that was in the trailer for the most part, got locked up that night, had warrants or something. So I knew my brother was in the jail, man. I was so petrified. You could probably, I was thinking that you could see my heart beating out my chest, man, when I was going into that jail, man. You know, you talk about a 16-year-old kid. I'm weighing 145 pounds. I didn't know what was gonna come. I didn't know, man. I've been to juvie before, but I ain't never been in no jail. And so we ended up going in there. I asked the guard, hey man, can you put me with my brother? My brother's in the jail. And the guard kind of looked at me like, man, you're crazy. We don't do that. We don't allow siblings to be together. And so, you know, my boy Ray, he lucked out. They put him in the cell with my brother. And with another brother of mine, Junior, shout out to him, they put him in the cell with him. So he has somebody to be there with him, man. But man, when they led me up to that cell in the county jail, and I seen all them grown ass dude at the windows looking at me, man, I swear to God, I had to carry this big ass mattress with a blanket, with a pillow. I could barely carry that motherfucker, man. And I'm walking, and there's a plexiglass on the pods. So everybody's coming to the fucking thing looking at you, man. And so they put me in the cell. It's not even a cell, it's an open pod. So there's just a bunch of bunks lined up. So you're just sleeping right there next to all these fucking strangers, man. And sure, yeah, and yeah, they put me in there, but with us, they had to come every hour and make sure that we were okay, because we were kids. So they'd come by and they'd have me come up to the plexiglass. They'd have me come up to the plexiglass and make sure that I was okay, that I wasn't being harmed or anything like that. But during those times in county jail, it wasn't it's weird, because you get, after a while, you start doing things in there with people, like as far as playing cards, or you guys are gambling, you know what I'm saying, watching certain shows, and it just becomes normal. It becomes normal for you, and then you start getting closer to your court date. The lawyer starts coming and telling you, like, hey man, you're looking at 33 years, man, 34 years, 35 years, and the reality still doesn't set in. Like, there's no way, right? So what ended up happening was we sat in the county jail maybe for 3-4 months, and we knew we weren't getting out of it. Not with that videotape. Like, we knew it was over. There was no way we're getting out of it. And my homeboy Ray, he ended up taking the first plea bargain. They gave him 13 years. They ended up giving him 13 years. They ended up giving me 12 years. They ended up giving Oscar 9 years. And Ray is, Ray, my homeboy Ray, was the first one to get sent up to actual prison, to go through Shelton and to go to an actual prison where they held juveniles, which it was called the Youthful Offender Program, where you had kids there, doing 90 years, motherfuckers doing life that were 14, 15 years old. So yeah, man. And then, eventually me and, I took a plea for 12. Oscar for 9, like I said, not to repeat myself. So we ended up getting sent up. Reyes ended up getting sent up first. Me and Oscar ended up getting sent up second. And when you're in county, they don't tell you when you're gonna go to prison. Like when they're gonna send, the state's gonna come pick you up and send you to the receiving, which is in Olympia. So they came and picked me up one day. Man, it's been so long since I actually thought about the feeling, man, and it sends shivers down my spine, man, because it was, I mean, that is like, all right, this is it for the next decade plus. This is gonna be my life. There is no more partying. There is no more bitches. There is no more none of that. There's no more chilling with my homies. There's no more, hey mom, can you come pick me up, bring me this to eat? Or there ain't no more none of that, man. And that's the hardest part, I think, was when reality actually set in, how alone I felt in that cell, you know. When we got sent up to Shelton to receiving, me and Oscar, they put us in a holding cell for hours, like 5 hours, man. The guards would come by like maybe every hour or so and kick on the door, you know, just to scare us, because there's no windows in the holding cells. You can't see. You're just stuck in this little tiny ass room until they tell you, okay, now we got a space for you. And that first night that I spent by myself in that cell, man, it was surreal. It was surreal. It was nothing like it. It was a loneliness that it was, I don't know, man. And I grew up rough. Growing up the way I grew up, I grew up rough, man, and there's nothing that could have prepared me for that. And that's the reason why I want to share these things, because all that macho shit went out the window. When I was by myself, man, and you're by yourself in that motherfucker, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, and you're like, man, I just wish I could go back, but you can't, you know. And this is the whole purpose of my podcast. Like, I'm trying to share these experiences for kids or for anybody to be like, God damn, man, why would I want to put myself through that when you know what comes with it, you know. And it's just a very hard thing to finally understand, that it took all that to finally, it took, man, what, 30, I'm 35 years old now. It took, and I'll get into more stories, and I'll get into more details, like, this is where I'm going to stop this episode for now. And then I'll get the next episode. I'm going to talk about when, we actually started doing real time. We started, you know, choosing who we were going to be with, and how things got even more dangerous. You know, our decisions got even more, held more responsibility to them. So with that being said, thank you guys for staying with me this long. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Drop any comments if you guys have any questions. I'll be sure to answer them. You guys have a good night.